up, y'all? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if you are Northwest, we just wanted to pray for the babies. You guys, what am I talking about? There's something very, very wrong in the Kardashian household. If you guys don't know, Kim has let North submit to her first procedure. Some people say it's cosmetics procedures. Other people says it's just a dumb rite of passage. Regardless, a lot of people in this community has come out and said that Kim has, in fact, put North in danger. Y'all, let's get into it. What are we talking about? North was posting all over Instagram that she got a piercing in her finger. They call it a transdermal piercing. All right. Can we talk about this? Because a lot of people are like, oh my God, it's just kids being kids. You can argue whether 12 years old is too young for a body piercing. You can argue whether this is a cry for help, because all the kids I know that got body piercings when they were younger, baby, yeah, there was issues behind it. You can argue whether Kim's mom is obsessed with attention, her grandmother is obsessed with looking the same age as her, and her dad has literally publicly shamed you, mocked you, and bullied you. We can argue whether North is too young to be exposed to media. We can argue all that. But can we agree that even letting Kim letting North do that was very, very risky? Listen to this, okay? The type of piercing she got is a hand piercing. Now, a lot of people actually spoke out about this on the media. Let me just read you what they're saying before you're like, Tisa, calm down. Because it's not, okay, fine. It is calm down. But my whole point of the matter is there's something really odd going on, and it seems like we're seeing North go down a path of what I would like to argue is neglect. Just because you have a million bodyguards, just because you have a million nannies, just because you got a million assistants and friends paid to be around you, that does not mean that you have the watchful eye of a parent. And let's also remember something, right? North is a rich kid. And there is some type of clout with being around her in the Kardashian era. And I think that Kim overestimates the fact of how much caregivers that do not look at children as their own will let ish slide because they don't want to become a problem to make North mad at them, and now they're looking for new jobs. Just my thing. But again, let's get into this thing, all right? North actually got a piercing, and this piercing appears to be a transdermal piercing. But I read the thread, right? And apparently people who know about piercings are saying this is actually a really unsafe piercing for any child to get. As a matter of fact, for this cosmetic piercing procedure, you need to be at least 21. This is called a dermal piercing. They said dermals at age 13 are hardly the same as a nose or septum piercing. They said, I would think a dermal piercing in a subtle place like a finger will be better than the nose or septum, right? And that's when they posted and pointed out, this isn't just a dermal piercing. This is a risky surface piercing that will surely reject if it isn't ripped out first. Now, what does reject mean? Because you know me, I don't know much about body piercings, but I had to actually get an expert that does piercing. They said, first of all, this is very irresponsible of Kim to do, because usually you have to be over 18. I'm sorry, over 18. They recommend it for 21 and older, because while you're growing, the risk of infection, the risk of it getting forced out, the painful nature of it as your body's rejecting it is something no kid should be subject to. Plus, as you're still growing, it's just dumb to get it. The only way you can get around it is with parental consent. So listen to this. They said a hand piercing, right? Like a surface piercing or a dermal anchor on the hand, the finger, is one of the highest risk piercings, especially for a 12-year-old, all right? And if you're wondering, when I'm like, okay, but how can the body reject it? They said this is what it means, and this is what it means, all right? The surface piercing sits very close to the skin surface. The body often treats the jewelry like a foreign object and slowly and painfully pushes it out. It's similar to how the body reacts when a splinter is too close to the surface. It tries to expel it. Now, what does that look like physically? The skin over the jewelry gets thinner. You start seeing more and more of the jewelry through the skin, and the piercing begins to migrate, meaning it moves from its original place, and eventually it pushes it out completely, leaving a scar. All right. Now, again, they said it's not, and this isn't the best case scenario. It's not the piercing do anything wrong. Surface piercings on hands, right, reject at extremely high rates. And the younger you are, the higher the rate is. Now, I said, okay, but why does it reject so easily? They said, one, there's constant movement. The hand bends, it twists, it flexes all day. Movement irritates the piercing, especially if it's on the fingers. There's high friction. You use your hands to put on clothing. Clothes touch it. There's sleeves. There's bags, desks, soaps. Everything rubs that area. The worst part is bacteria exposure. Hands touch everything. Infection risk is higher. And there's also low tissue depth. The skin on the hand is too thin to safely anchor the surface bar long term. The risk to a 12-year-old that's still growing, of course, they have a more active lifestyle. There's a lot of trauma in that area. There's a super high infection risk and a greater risk of long-term scarring. The infections, right? The dermal will swell, ooze, hurt, and again, the scarring, or there could be keloids. I know Kim doesn't like to admit it, but North is black. Black people do carry a history of keloids. If it rejects, it can leave a noticeable scar or even a raised scar. The snagging and tearing, it's extremely easy to catch on clothing, backpacks, objects. The hand piercing can literally rip it out. And again, it can never fully heal. That is also the problem with these type of things. Now, also in the tattoo community, they had things to say, right? They said, I hate how everyone says this is normal and they got piercing at the same age, blah, 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 blah. Do y'all know how terrible a finger piercing is? It's going to reject so quickly. It's a very irresponsible piercing. No reputable piercing person would do it. Another person said, I can't imagine any reputable piercer performing this kind of piercing for such a young child. Surface piercings have a high rate of rejection, often leads to scarring, and this placement almost guarantees it. It looks cool, but it's a bad idea. Another person said, it's the worst place to get the piercing. The hands get the dirtiest out of any body part. Keeping it clean so she doesn't get an infection is going to be a challenge for North. She could wear gloves if she wants to keep it cleaner. Another person said, good luck trying to heal that or stop it from migrating or getting rejected. She didn't even get a microdermal. So it's not just the area that's super complicated. It's a type of jewelry that's completely inappropriate for the body part, right? Sure, it can be pretty, but it's not good for it. They also went on to say, this is going to reject and hurt so bad. An irresponsible piercer is the culprit here. That's not a good spot to get a surface piercing. So as we move and use our hands too much, chances of her catching it on something are high. Hopefully she'll be lucky enough to avoid it. Again, another person said she let her kid do this, but she didn't research dermals or surface piercings. They have a high chance to reject and push out skin due to how the skin grows. She's still a growing teenager. They recommend them for people that are 21 and over for a reason. Again, another person said there are reasons body piercings are not for teenagers. You're not supposed to get them when you are growing or still growing. I hope she takes it out before it rejects. Bad, bad, bad. You guys, when are we going to have a conversation that I think this is a cry for help, and I'm not even joking. And we can talk about it later, and I don't want to get too much into it because this isn't a conversation about North. This is a conversation about her absentee dad and her mother that somehow thinks that a bodyguard and a nanny is substitution for real parental duty. And you can say what you want. This isn't about wearing a lace front or platforms. This is about you now doing harm to your body. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.